Okay, so you want to learn how to make a custom class in Minecraft. This is mainly for 1.20.4, but it should work for some other versions. I'm not too sure about 1.20.1, 1.21, because I haven't used that update yet. And I did, but they changed a couple stuff, and I'm not too sure about them. So this is how to create it in 1.20.4. So to demonstrate the class, to activate it, first you have to do this command: slash scoreboard player set your username or @p, which is closest player, radiation class 1. This is to activate it. I have it active. I go to a mob and I hold shift and the mob stops taking damage. I have it so as long as the person who has the class is holding shift, it applies 1 damage, 1 heart to anyone within the range. So, and the range is 5 blocks, and there's another one that applies for 10 blocks, within 10 blocks, which does another group of damage. There's armor stands around here, so damage won't really work. But if I'm close to this zombie, then you will see that the close one will work at least. There's several zombies in here, so that's why it's a bit hard to tell. Well, now how to do it. I'll teach you that right now. Okay, so I made a whole new world in order to test it with you guys and make it. So to start with, you have to type this command, which is slash scoreboard objectives add radiation class dummy. Where it says radiation class, you can name it whatever you want. It literally does not matter, as long as you can remember it. It can be numbers. I don't know if it can be custom characters, like symbols, but it can be any letters. Let's see. Hashtag. Okay, yeah, it cannot be custom characters, but it can be any letter and numbers, like literally whatever you want, as long as you remember what it is, because this is how you're gonna detect if the person has a class or not. So once you do that, you can press enter. But I already made it, because this is my second attempt. Sorry about that. Okay, so after you do that, you have to create another class, which is, this command is very similar. You do slash scoreboard objectives add charge and then Minecraft custom Minecraft.sneak item. Time. With this, every time you hold shift, it will start counting ticks in the charge. So you can just do this as ticks. Later on in another video, I'll show you how to convert the ticks to seconds. But if you want, you can do it yourself. It's every 20 ticks is 1 second. So you just have to make it so it resets the charge every 20 ticks. And then you just add 1 to another scoreboard. And then it'll just show us seconds here. But I'll do that in another video, like I said. Okay, so after you type this, you press enter. But I accidentally created the wrong scoreboard, so I'll have to remove the other charge. And I'll create this one, which is the correct one. Okay, after that, you need a command block. So you can do slash give @p command block to get yourself a command block. Now, in the first command block, all you have to type is this. You can choose any damage you want here. As you're copying it, I can tell you what each thing does. So the slash execute, I'll keep my mouse out of it so you guys can see it. Slash execute as @a @s. This is executing as a whatever is the target. @a is only players, and @s is self. So it's executing as a player and as a player that has the conditions. And the conditions are being set by this if. If score @s, so if my score for charge matches between 1 and 4 ticks, then and if score @s myself radiation class matches 1, it runs the damage command. And in this damage command, you can put any command you want. And as long as it's an actual command, it will run when you hold shift. And this is what's setting the target for the damage command. at E, limit equals 1. This limit, I had to add it because or not, for some reason, it wouldn't work. So it can only damage one entity at a time. But you can fix this by just swapping this to an effect. The damage command, if you do slash effect, give at E, and then you put the bracket, and you put type equals exclamation mark player, then it'll exclude the players. And then you can just continue everything else except for the limit. So you will just continue distance equals dot dot 5. That dot dot 5 makes it so it's anything within the 5 blocks. And as long as the scores is equal to radiation class equals 0, then it'll give them 2 damage, and the damage it will cause to them is a cactus. So basically being pricked. Okay. So after you type that, you can switch it to a repeat command block, and you hold shift, place another command block. You don't have to place it on top. This is how I like it because it's more organized. This one you can basically copy and paste from the other one because it's the same thing, but what this one is it makes it so it's anything within 10 blocks. It only does 1 damage because it only has a limit of 1 within that range. So what you could do is you can just add several of these, and as long as you add several of these, you can add 1 for 1 block, 1 for 2 blocks, 1 for 3 blocks, 1 for 4 blocks, and so on. And you can do damage to any entity within those blocks, and it'll do even more. Because if there isn't 2 entities within 5 blocks, it'll only damage 1 entity. It won't damage both. You could just make it so it does 200 damage so it one-shots anything, but what's the fun in that? Okay, so now, once you copy that, the next command is how it's going to add, it's the cooldown. So, once you type that, it uses the same execute as because it's executing as the player. Charge matches 400. Does I made it before, so it would activate at 400. I forgot to change this before. So this is supposed to be 1. Okay, yeah. This is when I had it before, when I used to have it at cooldown, but then I removed it. So technically this one's useless right now. But you would use this for other classes that I made. So if you want, just skip this part, but I'll explain it. Okay, so what this does is once it reaches the activation, where I made it so it activates all the effects of that class, it will add 1 until it reaches a certain amount. And after it reaches a certain amount, I use this command, which resets the thing, the command blocks, well, the scoreboard. And as all of them, it executes as a player. If it matches 1 or more, it resets the whole scoreboard. So as long as the player's holding shift, it's gonna keep resetting. So that means the chat's gonna be spammed like crazy. Okay. So since this is making it so it damages any entity that has a radiation class of 0, I would recommend if you're playing in multiplayer to have a command block that makes it so you can type slash, well, you have to make a command block with this command. It will give the command to anyone who does not have. It will give the command to every entity. It won't give it to players, but it will give it to every entity. For players, you can just have it so they spawn in a little lobby or something, and it just sets their class to 0. Because if their class is not 0, then it won't count them as an entity that it needs to attack. So now that I have everything on, then again, remember, you don't need this command block. This is just for if you're going to have a cooldown for the class. And I used to have it, but I removed it because the class wasn't being used as much, sadly. Okay, and this is the reset. Okay, so now, in order to get the class like I showed before, you do slash scoreboard players set at P or your name or whatever you want. Radiation class 1. Now my radiation class is 1. As long as I hold shift, it applies. Okay. Now in order to show the charge right here, you do slash scoreboard, objectives, set display, sidebar, charge. And now my charge will show up there. I hold shift, it goes to 1, and it resets as soon as I let go. So now if I summon a zombie, okay, that's most likely gonna annoy anyone. Game rule says command block output false. The command blocks are, let me turn down these mobs. The command blocks are still going to work, but it just won't spam in your chat anymore. And don't worry, anyone who isn't an op won't be able to see those command blocks. Well, won't be able to see the command blocks. Oh, we're switching because one is with it too far and the other one's too close. If I want to make them take more damage, I can switch this to 20. And it's gonna one-shot the zombie. Instantly dead. Zombie. Instantly dead. Instantly. So you can change that damage to whatever you want. Well, that's it for this class. I'll make more videos and I'll compact more classes next time, since this is just the first class. Thank you for watching. Well, here's a list of all the commands that you'll be using for, well, that you used for the class to make it. Remember that this one right here, you don't really need it because it's just for the cooldown to make it so the classes can't just be spammed. Because I made some pretty OP ones, like Adrenaline Junkie, Atomic Bomb, Escape Artist, and stuff like that. Thank you. Bye.